Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and ladies and gentlemen, I know that the world is filled with nothing but the saddest news sometimes, but what if I told you it seems like for a while, you better get used to no more Steam Decks. Now, I've talked about the system for like years, ever since it actually came out. It's probably one of my favorite systems. Now, if I go to Valve's website over here, whoa, look at those Steam Decks out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. Generally, I kind of buy these sometimes for like, really close friends or like family that are like, I want to get into that gaming. I really want to try that PC gaming. And I'm like, you know what would get you into some PC gaming? A Steam Deck. I mean, it's kind of like the most entry level like handheld computer you can get because most people my age nowadays are usually playing their games on like a Nintendo Switch or whatever. Like I see some of my friends have like that PlayStation Portal, and it's literally because, listen, man, my TV is usually taken over by somebody else, and mostly I like playing my games in bed. So having something in your hand is just usually the best thing ever, okay? You will never, actually, I'm sure most of us have played video games under the covers, okay? It's happened. Anyways, why are all these things magically out of stock again? Well, the OLED may be out of stock intermittently, and you better get used to it, by the way, because Valve's like, get used to it. Some regions due to memory and storage shortages. Oh yeah. By the way, that 256 gig model, they don't even make that anymore. Just fucking kill me, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, at first the AI came for our jobs. Now it's come for our hobbies. Truly, gamers are the most oppressed class you can find. Now, it's interesting because obviously anytime I see the official retailer not selling anything, I go right to eBay, and eBay is basically where I get to encounter every like wannabe Logan Paul who wants to butt fuck me on the price for everything. This LCD 64 gig open box, by the way, $650. $650. Are you high? Then you go down over here. It's like, yeah, here's a 512 gigabyte model, $899. Hey, you want that transparent OLED? Well, you better give me that 1,100. I mean, just you know what? Just kill me. Just end me right here, okay? Just put me down into the ground. Now, generally speaking, for a lot of my favorite handheld devices, I talked about things like the AIM Thor, which, as you can see, I'm playing Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops on. Really fun handheld experience. Even these devices, if Valve is having an issue, imagine how tough it's going to be for these other handheld systems. Now, obviously, Valve is not a big company. They're not like Microsoft. They're not like NVIDIA. Generally speaking, some of the biggest companies in the world are fighting for every single bit of SSD space, memory, GPU. It's so bad. I'm not even joking with you guys right now. It's so bad that, do you guys know that these spinning hard drives, yeah, they're rare too. Western Digital comes out and says they're pretty much sold out, okay? They have such a severe HDD capacity shortage. Remember, the spinning hard drives, okay? Fuck the SSDs, okay? I'm talking about the spinners, okay? The spinners aren't even available anymore, man. As we've highlighted, we pretty much sold out for calendar year 2026. Basically, all of the top companies are just coming at them with like, here's a big bag of money. Here's a big check. Please give it to us. And obviously, listen, man, business is business, okay? Gamers don't got as deep pockets as the guys running OpenClaws and OpenAI and Claude and all this other shit. Now, whether you use artificial intelligence or not, I think it's kind of a ranged thing. Like, I feel like there's a big range to artificial intelligence stuff, and that's why I kind of have a nuanced take on my channel. Like, for me, I'll be completely real with you, I don't like things like generative AI. I think, like, all of the Hollywood, like, movie AI shit feels so synthetic to me that I just cannot get into it. But things like AI coding, for instance, I'm kind of like an interested party of, not because I use it to write entire applications. I've maybe written just one entire application through it just because of the new Claude Opus stuff. It dropped, I wanted to test out that model. But generally speaking, like, I've learned a couple languages like Swift and Swift UI for like iPhone stuff, and also Rust. Like, I've just kind of been like wanting to learn some more programming languages. So for something like an AI model, having it sort of like write down concepts, programs, and then like manually typing them out and understanding the code, is kind of, great when you mix it alongside actual documentation. Using it as a teaching method, I think, is actually pretty cool. That to me, like, that's where my nuance comes into. But I'm also not somebody that uses, these big AI companies because I feel like they're very harmful. Obviously, as you can see, with our Steam Decks fucking disappearing into thin air, it's not something that I feel like is good to support. That said, there's a lot of great open source downloadable models that you can run, provided you have a gaming computer or equivalent hardware. Which it seems, honestly, like this year, if you didn't get your gaming computer by now, it feels like it's going to get a lot tougher going into like 2027, 2028 even. I feel like if you upgraded your computer like literally before like 2025, you kind of honestly got completely lucky. If right now you're thinking of upgrading your computer, no matter what your financial state is, you'll probably sit there and think, I'll have to wait, okay? Like for me, looking at things like GPUs, looking at things like RAM, for instance, upgrades into like a home server that I have completely stopped. Mostly because, not that I can't necessarily afford the part, but it's just, I don't know if it's even, I don't know if it's sensible paying that insane upmark that we have right now. We just have to wait for the AI bubble to pop. And honestly, I think maybe it will for certain things. Like, for instance, the generative video shit. There are so many lawsuits that have been sparking up. And honestly, when I started to see, like, even people like my mom is not technically savvy whatsoever. When she can identify AI and immediately, like, drop the stink and, like, step away from it and stop using the social media feeds that are pumping that into her fucking brain to begin with, it makes me happy because it shows me that even the boomers, even the people that this shit is being made for, are being disgusted by it. I mean, we're disgusted too, but if the average normie starts getting more and more disgusted, that's the ultimate benefit for us. Remember, companies like Microsoft, companies like Nvidia hate it when we dislike artificial intelligence, for the right reasons, of course. So keep on hating that shit. Now, of course, there's some genuine applications, and hey, I think for those genuine applications, they'll probably stick around, but this bubble's gonna pop. And when this bubble pops, hopefully the hardware floods the market and actually might be cheaper, I would hope, than what it originally was, simply because there's so much of it just untouched. But that's like me being pretty hopeful. For instance, one of the craziest things that I saw when it comes to artificial intelligence shit is, why our RAM is getting like 8 times the price now? Is because companies like Meta, there's a patent that I'm about to show you. It's a patent that allows the simulation of a user of a social networking system using a language model. So basically the idea is that a social media, like a language model, will capture all the data a user generates and then pretend to be that user, okay? So again, this is not... You get what's happening here? You could die the next day, okay? And, imagine if the user is deceased or you take a long break. The social media system receives a language model that is pre-trained for that specific user, and they just start regurgitating what you used to say, but you're still dead, okay? We are so fucked. We are putting the dead to fucking work. And I don't know what Facebook expects. Like, they say they're not going to use this at all, but why even patent it to begin with? What insane company would even go about doing this? Because, again, if you're a social media company, you should be about the social media. Social media should not be, hey man, is that person a bot? No. It's a bot, but it's a bot of a person that died. Like, what the fuck are we doing, man? Cyberpunk 2077's central plot was about something called the Relic, which is a biochip that you stick into your head that allows you to talk to digitized human psyches. Yeah, we're getting Cyberpunk 2077's fucked up biochip in 2026, boys. Maybe pretty soon, to be crying out loud with you. Now, I'm sure some people will be like, Muda, this is great. I can talk to dead Gram. You're not talking to dead Gram, bro. You're talking to a ones and zeros that's pretending to be your dead Gram. Your dead Gram is up in heaven looking down at you in shame. Okay? Do you want to die one day and see Gram and tell her that you used to talk to her as ones and zeros? She's gonna call you a fucking psycho. That's the future we live in, man. It's crazy shit. It's one of the reasons why I kind of talk about it, because I feel like more and more people that just wake up to the absurdity of the world we live in eventually will go and say, no, not anymore. Not anymore, Facebook. So this is one of the reasons why I actually don't even use really anything in the Meta space unless it's like, the headset, right? The Oculus or Meta Quest. And that's only to play like a couple games here and there. Because when a company is doing shit like this, okay, it's time as a society to wake up. And obviously, one of the issues that I kind of have with this stuff too is I'm wondering what's going to happen to the Steam machine, given the fact that the Steam Deck is basically now fucking missing in action. The Steam machine is supposed to be that big GameCube, that like actual console that Valve's supposed to be releasing. And I honestly, I was actually probably going to pick this one up. I think it would have been so sweet to buy one of these. Now that I think about it, stick it under like my bedroom television, or stick it in like the living room television, and just have like a genuine gaming PC right there. Unfortunately, if this thing is out of commission, this might actually be out of commission too. And it could have actually been a pretty sweet gaming computer alongside just a gaming console, right? Because like all of Valve's hardware products, the Steam Deck or the Steam Machine, they're also just desktop computers. You can use this connected to a dock with a keyboard and mouse as if it was an actual Linux PC. Hell, you could install Windows on this thing and use it like a Windows computer. And for me, the Steam Machine was like, not the Steam Machine, the Steam Deck was like one of the coolest systems that I actually had for a long time, and I still do. I used it basically every single day. It's probably the only way that I'm able to play games even to this day. I don't really play them in front of my main computer. I also don't really play them in front of my PlayStation. Generally speaking, I just like have a game running on my actual deck, and then I'm just playing it on here, I'm suspending it, resuming it, so on and so forth. So again, I have a PlayStation 2 like introduction, but you can see all the games that I've installed. I would not be able to play half of these games if I couldn't have the Steam Deck to get the time to play those games. And not just that, it's like the ultimate emulation machine too, playing PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. Hell, I was able to play like Sly 2 through the HD collection on the PlayStation 3, through the PlayStation 3 emulator on this bad boy. And it works exceptionally great. Not only is it one of the best emulation machines, but it's also like a home console for me. Like I bought the Steam Deck dock just so I could connect this to the computer, hook up a PlayStation controller to it, and then I could actually use it like an actual gaming console. And to see that now it's kind of basically been missing in action because of how bad the AI craze has gotten is a little bit sad because, I look at rippling effects. Things like the Steam Deck have been instrumental in pushing Linux to the hands of so many gamers. I feel like for a lot of people, it's not far-fetched to say that at least gamers, this is the first actual Linux experience they have, right? Like when you fire up a Steam Deck, it's your first, touch on something like Linux to show you, hey, your gaming will work here. And to an extent, because so many people have bought it, there's been a lot of communities that have developed amazing software like Decky LSFGVK, which lets you use like lossless frame generation and upscaling on the actual deck. So you can get more life out of it for some of those hardcore games that have released more recently. And of course, there's also things like EmuDeck, which makes the emulation so easy that, because of the progress done on the Steam Deck, you can install this generally on actual Linux systems, even Windows, and get comparatively good performance and just a comparatively good experience as you would on a deck. And that's the thing, right? For a lot of people underneath Linux, Linux used to be this place where nerds like me were, fucking trying to make things work. And now with the efforts that Valve has had and the amount of people that have bought the deck and, the community that is built around it, it feels like all this AI shit is nothing but a slap in the face. The more companies like Valve face it harder to release this bit of hardware out there in the world, the worse it actually does become for things like Linux gaming, because for most people, this is basically the only way that they've ever experienced Linux gaming. And it's through devices like the Steam Deck that they may choose, hey, if it's doing everything I want here, maybe I can jump ship on my main desktop. I don't know, man. It's wild stuff, dude. It's crazy shit to see. But ladies and gentlemen, yes, AI has absolutely destroyed so many things, okay? It's made computer hardware incredibly expensive, incredibly impossible to buy, that one could say that we're reaching a stage where I think renting your computer is the ultimate plan for some of these companies, and that's a horrible world to think of. But when it comes to our basic computers, and this is, by the way, just like a standard handheld gaming computer, when these things become impossible to purchase, impossible to play with, impossible to buy, at what point should we just step up and say, look, we got to pull back, okay? We got to get some fucking regulation in this. These guys just cannot be the only ones purchasing the computer hardware and destroying all forms of consumer electronics, literally day by day. Something has to be done. Something has to happen, okay? That's all I'm saying. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, the dystopia is insane, but hey, you know what? Positive news. In 10 days, Resident Evil Requiem launches. And I just cannot wait to have another 15-hour video uploaded on my channel of me playing that game start to finish. So, look forward to that. Look forward to some good-ass games. I guess if you want a Steam Deck, you might have to consider the scalping world out there. I mean, that might be the only way to get it for a good long while. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully this doesn't affect too much. I've seen murmurs of like the next PlayStation possibly getting delayed, which honestly it should, because I feel like the PlayStation 5 has been barely used at all. So again, all of this has to tie in with how expensive and rare hardware has gotten. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I am out.